Anybody ready for a revolution? Anybody ready for a revolution? Anybody ready for a revolution? Anybody ready for a revolution?
You are now tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show.
Oh, you know what it is and what it do. You're officially tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show, aka the Revolution Podcast. Really excited. You know, for those of you who've been paying attention, we've been moving around a little bit as we grow. We are now going to be able, in addition to all the other places, we're going to be back on iHeartRadio as one of their official podcasts. So, you know what I mean? We're doing it real big. Intern Lillian and Farron were not able to be here with us today, but you know, I hold it down. You know what I'm saying? I keep it pushing. I think I'm okay. Like y'all like me a little bit too by myself. Yada dig. And so since we continuing on this whole Black History Month thing, you know what I mean? I just want to shout out. I got a special shout out right here. And so I wanted to make a point to let y'all know, because I know everyone's talking about critical race theory. It's been a hot button issue for the last about 7 months or so, 7 to 8 months. And so, you know, I know we can't say anything, especially there's legislation that they're trying to pass both in the state of Texas and in the state of Florida, that you cannot say anything that will make white people feel bad about themselves or their history. OK, so it's very difficult to talk about history without talking about some of the things that white people done did. But here's what I will say. I'm going to give a happy Black history fact a moment. And since y'all didn't know, most of y'all didn't know this, because I didn't know this until I started doing the research, ladies and gentlemen. And now you will learn at Black History 2022 that it was a Black man that invented the potato chip. Okay, I got to stop right there. I can't say much more about it, because if I tell you more, it might make white people feel bad about the way they treated him. So let's just celebrate that a Black man invented the potato chip. So next time you eat a potato chip, I want you to just, if you happen to be in public, if you see a Black person, just, this is a universal sign of what's up to Black people. Okay, in case you didn't notice, you just kind of got to look at them and go like this. That's like, what's up? I see you. You know what I mean? I recognize you. I acknowledge you. So go ahead and do that. You can, if you want, you can walk over and give them a hug. Black people do this thing called, it's this hug where you shake their hand first, and then you come in and lean in. That's one of those we invented. You could do that. You could give a gift. It's customary to give gifts to Black folks during Black History Month. But worst case scenario, just hit them with one of those and they'd appreciate it. So there's your Black history fact, ladies and gentlemen, that, you know, it was a Black man that invented the potato chips. So without further ado, because you know me, I can talk about ridiculousness all day long and have no problem with it. But I have an amazing guest. She is absolutely phenomenal. She's gorgeous. She's brilliant. She is an artist. She's many things. I can't wait to get into this, because I had the privilege of talking to her. I think we were on the phone for like 2 hours. I don't even know. We was on the phone for a minute. I was getting to know her pre-interview, and I was like, oh my God, that should have been the interview. But we're going to try to recreate some of the magic. Please show some love, ladies and gentlemen, for the one, the only, the incomparable, the sensational, the magnificent Miss Divynah. How you doing today?
What's up? I'm good. How are you today?
I got you here, so I'm doing fantastic. I am doing amazing. Did you know that a Black man invented the potato chip?
I just learned now from you. Thank you for that good facts.
You're welcome. I can't say much more.
Potato chip is pretty important staple in my life, so now I needed to know.
I agree. So again, I can't say much more, because you know, even you know, many people, or most people, or I should say all people of color, right? Because if I'm correct, and please forgive me, because you know, I got ADD, short-term memory loss, all kinds of stuff. But you're Palestinian, correct?
I'm Palestinian, yes.
Okay, so I'm sure if we started talking about your history, we couldn't talk very long without talking about some of the ills of what white people had done. So, so according to, you know, what's going on, we
Nice. I know. I've been playing that game. I get it. Like, I totally get it. Like, that people are real touchy about this, especially in America, which is part of what I was explaining to you. Like, it's not even per se like a worldwide misconception. It's a very like American bubble misconception about what that whole thing is, you know? So I've been tiptoeing around white people's fragility for since.
So I got to ask you, being the Palestinian girl, what was your experience like growing up? Like, were you treated differently, you know, in school or those sorts of things, or did you just kind of slip under the radar?
Oh no, I was most definitely treated like pretty not great by I mean, I grew up in North Carolina, so you got to understand this is the South, and this is the South like,
Right.
you know, however many years ago, because it's like it's progressing a little nowadays, and but back then it was like there was no diversity in the town that I grew up in. It was very like mostly white, a little bit of black community, and but it's all like very in the South community. It's not even like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, and it's not
Yeah.
like
Yeah. No, I got you. There's not a lot of diversity.
no, not even Hispanic or Asian or anything else. It was really just like a whole bunch of white, mostly white kids, a little bit of like Southern, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's it. That's it. There was
And what
nothing.
did they make of you? Were
Uh,
you?
you know, it depends on the year, right? Pre 9/11, it was like Aladdin, magic carpets, and you live in a tent. Post 9/11, it's like you're a terrorist and you're a terrible person, and we all
I,
kicked you at a cool kids table at school, and you know all that. So,
you know what? We didn't talk about this before, but I gotta ask you that because I remember post 9/11 for black people, like for like a 2 year period, was awesome, right?
I
Because for
heard.
the
I mean, you
for
gotta
the
take wins, man. I get it. Like,
for
you
the
know.
first time in America, right? Like people were happy to see us. So like, hey guy, hey, America, right? There was a lot of that. So it was
Right.
awesome. I never experienced that before, right?
Fine. Yeah, totally.
And then, but I had a couple of Middle Eastern friends, right? And
Yeah.
so I would be like, hey, it's your turn. So welcome. I was like, welcome to being black.
Right. That's exactly what it was. And I had all of my black friends say that at that time and for years and really for a long time. And I couldn't be mad. I can't be, you know what I'm saying? So it
So
was like, all right, it's my turn, my time to take it. You know what I'm saying? That's
so I got to ask you this because I know it in my experience, navigating through circles that are non-black often in my life, I would get a lot of what we call microaggressions, right? So it's all these like supposed innocent questions, you know, so stuff like, you know, why does your hair feel like that? Or do you, you know, like those, like, did you get those sorts of questions post nine or even maybe pre 9/11? But I'm sure maybe afterwards, did you get those sorts of things growing up?
oh yeah. Oh, most definitely. Like I said, they kind of changed in severity post and pre 9/11, but it was always kind of a thing. And even pre 9/11, it was still kind of like I might not like you, or kids might not like me or make fun of me, depending on if their parents said some crazy stuff to them about Arabs or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And it was always kind of, especially kind of in especially not just Arabs, but Palestinian in particular. It's like they hear that word, and even for 9/11, that word has always
Right,
related to terrorist, bad person. You guys throw rocks at people or what? Just like crazy stuff that's like you don't even know what you're talking about, boo. Like
right.
what is he talking about with whatever clickbait you heard on Fox? It's like this is not. You should do a little research, but couldn't. And back then, you definitely couldn't expect that. Now we're making a little bit of progress, just a tad, just a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, I guess the closest thing to, and this is from my view, okay? So I'm sure your view is a little bit different, right? From my view, in the last, let's say, 5 years or so, obviously the biggest, and they're not Palestinian, but still Middle Easterners, obviously is the Kardashians, right? They don't really talk too much about being Armenian, like they don't really delve into that a lot.
Oh, I
But you have,
probably this topic. Okay, so because I was just talking about this the other day. They are the only Middle Eastern people kind of representing Middle Eastern people, but Armenian
the
and
Shahs of Sunset.
I don't even know who that is.
You don't know about the Shahs of Sunset?
I don't. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit like concerned with trying to like make music and stuff, so I'm not
And,
always super top
right. Well, we're gonna get to that. But you know,
Oh,
there's been this really hot on Bravo. reality series called Shahs of Sunset, and it's about a group of Persians in the LA area. You know, like some of them are real estate agents. Some, I mean, but you know, whatever. They're a group of Persian friends. Most of them are Iranian. You know, like literally second generation, having come here, escaping from, you know, the conflict that was going on in Iran. But other than that, I don't know of anything else. That's why I was going to ask you, like, outside of them.
The issue with that is that Armenian, Persian, Iranian, that portion of Middle Eastern is very, very different than Arabs. And in fact, they make it they make it more well known than we do over here in America. You know what I'm saying? Like Western culture of any communities of like Armenian and Persians, they're very abruptly like, we're not Arabs and we don't like Arabs. You know, I mean, not all there's cool people out there. So everybody don't take that as like, you know, everybody is watching. Don't take it as me talking smack about Persians or anything like that, because, you know, obviously there's always like, I got a homie that's Persian. That's one of my besties, you know, it has nothing to do with that. But as an average, there's like a beef there where it's like, I do kind of think it's because of the racism towards Arabs that Persians and Armenians have made a big, strong suit of being like, well, we're not them. So don't connect us to them, because they're kind of trying to get away from the labeling of being Arab. Do you know what I mean?
You know what they are?
American culture. It's not good to be Arab. So
they're the Dominicans of Middle Easterners, because like anybody who knows about Dominicans, right? Like Dominicans are obviously black, right? Like there's no denying. But I have because I tease my Dominican friends all the time, right? Because I'd be like, you know, you black, right? And I'd be like, oh no, papi, I Dominican, right? Like that's the worst thing you could call them. I'd be like, dog, you dark as this hoodie I'm wearing. Like
best friends is Puerto Rican and Dominican, and she talks about this all the time. Yeah.
So no, I understand. So they're your Dominicans.
Yeah, they don't want to be Middle East, like they're not Arab, but it's like a step away. Like we have the culture, the food, the dance, it's all like just a hop, skip, and a jump away from each other. You know what I'm saying? But like, no, we're nothing like you. And I'm kind of like, well, now I guess we're becoming not so much like each other anymore, you know, but in the Middle East, it's not even like that. It's like people are in so much war and famine, and so many countries have so many problems from the white man, from colonization, that over there, people aren't even acting like that dumb Western culture beef, because we're like all looking for Americans to approve of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, but over there, a Persian family, a Palestinian family, whatever, like most, and well, to be fair, there's a few of those countries that may not fit into that, what I'm talking about, but because they're kind of like already rich countries, so they're uppity and they don't really need to fit in with the rest of the Middle Eastern countries. But over there, there's so much war and famine that people aren't even, it's just dumb stuff that's left for out here. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I definitely, just so you know, we're definitely going to get into your music and talk about that. The reason I went here first is because I was so impressed by you when I met you that I wanted people to hear for themselves and see for themselves like how absolutely brilliant you are, and just cultured, and you know what I mean? Because it's easy to come on here. You're obviously beautiful. You know what I mean? So you're the pretty girl, and then you do music. So it's easy to kind of go there, and people miss the actual fullness and the richness of who you are as a person. And so, you know,
a lot out here in Hollywood. Yeah. Hollywood is like, a lot of people are looking at the surface, and I'm like, I need to go deeper, baby. Like I'm gonna dip. I'm a Taurus too. Like I will, between my culture and my astrology, baby, I'm ready to go. If I don't feel like the vibes are genuine and really with the passion and the truth of whatever people are experiencing in life, like don't give me your surface level stuff. I'm just not interested. You know what I'm saying? So
no, absolutely. Absolutely. So I got to ask you this, growing up, being that you do music, did your culture influence your musical tastes?
Most definitely. Most definitely. And I'll say that, you know, we talked about this on the phone, but we didn't say this here today, but, you know, I was a refugee. I wasn't like, me and my family were not intending on living in America. We just came here for a vacation, and the Gulf War broke out overseas and in Kuwait, which is where we lived at that time. And because of the Gulf War, you know, we just had to, we were basically stuck here in America. It was wow. You can make such a crazy story, you know? So we just unplanned had to get refugee status here out of nowhere. And It was way later in life that it hit me that I feel like God had me, at least for me personally, like, of course, each member of my family must have had all of our little reasons God wanted us to change our whole lives, you know, but
Right.
God was like, it's because of music. I'm very influenced by Arabic music. It's tied in with what I'm doing, but a whole lot of things are because I grew up in the South. I'm hearing Arabic music all day in the house and singing it, and you know, with the family and every car ride and everything. My parents were playing oldies Arabic too, not even like up to date Arabic, like
Right.
for old stuff on repeat. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So I would say yes, it's definitely tied into my sound. A lot of people kind of listen to my music and will immediately comment on that, and they'll be like, "Huh, interesting. It's kind of has soul, R&B, this, that, but also there's just something very specifically like has an Arabic flair to the way that you sing." You know, so I don't even know, but other people do. So,
did you ever feel? Because I know a lot of times, marginalized communities, right? Minorities, like when we're forced to assimilate, right? Sometimes we feel like we have to hide kind of our culture and our essence from, whether it be the kids at school or whatever. Did you ever feel like that pressure to have to kind of not be so, like, for example, this is the joke me and my friends have. Because we've had to navigate through a lot of all white circles.
Yep.
So don't be too black.
Yep.
Right? Did you ever feel like, yo, don't be too Arabic?
Oh,
Don't say it with an accent. An accent.
all the time. All the time. But it was unavoidable. And I said that this is another thing I said before. Have you seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding? The movie?
Absolutely.
Like,
I love that movie.
So much relation to that movie, but even more because Greek is not even quite as out there as like Palestinian or something. You know what I mean? But it's the most, like, it's the best example I could give you. Like, it's unavoidable though. Like, I'm trying not to be too Arabic, but I look different. I have like poofy mushroom hair. I'm growing. I'm like coming in 13 with like a unibrow coming in. Like, it's just like, it's unavoidable, but I would try so hard. And it's like, as soon as my mom would come visit or, do any kind of school function where the parents would come, everybody's like, why does your mom look like that? Why does she have an accent? You know what I mean? It's like everything, so you try. And even the grape leaves at lunch thing, like My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Oh man, they killed me for my lunches because I never had like just like a.
What kind of stuff would you take for lunch?
What?
Give me an example of some of the stuff you would take for lunch.
My mom would pack me grape leaves. You know what those are? Like dolmas, like little stuffed grape leaves. The Middle Eastern.
I have no idea. See, what's that? See,
get on it, man.
See, I would have been the friend and been like, ooh, what's that? What do you got right there? What's the grape leaf?
That would have been better, but all the kids were like, ew, what is that? And then you're like, you're trying to like go to the bathroom and eat or like throw it out. A Debbie cake, which is probably disgusting in reality,
Yeah, and I don't mean to laugh. I get it because there's so many similarities. It might be a different food, but a different culture, but we share universal stories.
Exactly.
So that's why I laugh because it's just so I got to ask you this. In the Black community, we have this thing called the phone voice, right? So I want to know if Arabs do this. You just already laughed. You just answered the question.
Oh, most definitely. Oh, you should. I mean, it would crack me up, especially like for the members of my family that like struggled with a thicker accent. Mm-hmm. Oh man, it would be good trying to hear them on the phone, and I'd be trying to coach them through it sometimes too. Like when I was a kid, be like, okay, come get your country twang on, because we're in North Carolina. Right. So like my mom's on the phone and she's like, yes, that's very nice. Oh, you just take a left right there, and it's like. So weird. But that was before we had a handle on it. We were still new here and trying to figure it out. Oh my god. So
I mean, and this is so funny to say, but I don't hear an accent on you at all. Did you work on that intentionally or just kind of happened?
I was pretty young, so there wasn't too much of an accent for me, but it was still always kind of there. Like just a little bit of a thing that people would notice for some years. I think eventually it did go away, but it used to be a little bit more like people would comment on my voice. And yeah, eventually I mastered like a very white phone voice for work purposes, you know. And eventually I'm like halfway just like adopted it on accident, but then I'll, you know, I switch it up depending on the vibes I'm around, you know. But like anybody, like any person of color to an extent, like.
I feel you. So let me ask you this, because I really want to talk about your music now. Who were some of your influences in terms of music when you were coming up? Like who just really moved you?
Oh man, that's a very good question. Lauryn Hill. That was one of my that was one of my top influences. I probably listened to Miseducation of Lauryn Hill and was like blaring out every word, and you know, just in it for years. I mean, years. I mean, on and off for like 15 years. Like it was just a staple of my whole growing up, you know. And I would say Lauryn Hill has some of the hardest runs too. Like as in like, you know, when she's doing whatever, it's like she has a very particular, very tricky runs that a lot of other people have never done, you know, period, and haven't done since either, not before or after. So I sat there and I would just practice and be like, yeah, like, cause I mean, I've always been a pretty natural singer, like despite the fact that I've been trained and I went to college and all that good stuff. I always kind of had a certain natural knack, even when I was like a kid, to just sort of like mimic, like, you know, Whitney Houston or and sound pretty darn good for being like 5, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But at the same time, Lauryn was somebody that challenged me. And it wasn't as easy for me to just like listen to the song 2 or 3 times and then just mimic the whole thing with her. So she was a huge influence, like improving my vocal skills, writing skills, like thinking about the depth of what you're saying, because that album was huge. Like you could dive in and keep finding more and more depth in the meaning of what she was saying. So yeah, that was huge. I was also heavily influenced by Bob and Damian Marley, to be fair. I'd be lying if I didn't mention them as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Before we jump into your single, what would you say is the vibe of your music, or you just period, what's your vibe?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd say the vibe of my music is kind of, I like to say it's like a vortex. I'm sort of intentional. I mean, every track kind of has a little bit of its own personality. Faded is the newest single. That one is a little bit more like dreamy R&B. Like it's a little bit more easy to take in and just feels good. You know what I'm saying? But overall, like I feel like somebody, I've had a few people call me like a vibologist. They were like, oh, you're such a vibologist. Like there's just something about the way you create every track where there is a vibe. It might be a little bit of a different vibe per track, but you know, there's something a little bit ethereal about every track, even if it's not meant to be, or I don't intend it to be. I think it still kind of shows up, you know. You
say create. Does that mean you produce?
I do. Yeah, I don't produce all the tracks. It depends. I work with other producers as well, but I have.
That's still fascinating though. So you write, produce, and perform. So you a quintuple threat.
Quintuple. There we go. Yeah.
You are. Okay. So why don't we do this? Why don't you introduce your single? We're gonna go ahead and play the single, and then we'll come back and talk some more.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. All right. So this is my new single, Faded. It's out on all platforms now. It's by me, Divynah, and it is featuring rapper True.P. Go stream it on all your networks, and we are having a music video popping out soon for it. So check it out.
Your body got me in a zone, and I really want you to take me home now. Make love to me, no games we own. I'ma let you take it to the zone now. Hey, it's a vibe now. And we high now. It's a vibe now. But we alright. Hey. I know that you see me, and I care for you. Moving my hips to the beat, now let's get low. I can swim in Wonderland with you all day. Staying in the zone, we can fly and play.
love evolution. Do you believe in illusions? No excuses. Show and approve it. Study your body a student. Choosing your body to fuse with. Vibe with your body to music. Show me your movements. Love the way your body be grooving. Feel like I'm moving. She my addiction. Need a full prescription. Got me faded up the juices that her body dripping. Got me floating in the ocean that her body giving. If you with it, it's a give it. Girl, I'll hold you down. If loving you ain't right, I'll be wrong. I just want your love and I'll be loyal. Drunk up off your love and I'm gone.
Your body got me in a zone, and I really want you to take me home now. Make love to me, no games we own. I'ma let you take it to the zone now. Hey, it's a vibe now, and we high now. It's a vibe now, and we saying in my dreams, burning nerves, taking toll.
It's a vibe. Step into the light.
Saying in my dreams, it's a vibe, and it's time now. And one night, and I'm high.
Yo, hold on. Because if y'all can see, I was running around when it was playing, because y'all know when black people get excited, we jump up and run around. That was fire. That was some heat. That was, but I'm gonna need you to sign some things for me.
Okay.
So that way I could be like, no, for real, I do know her. I know her. No, she don't answer the phone right now because she busy. But
I can.
so what are your plans? Like, what can we look forward to for, with regards to Divynah in 2020 dose?
Oh man, it's gonna be a dope time. This year has already really started off like banging and moving in the right direction. My manager, Princess, Perceptive by Princess Vashon. She's also a star, realistically. But yeah,
she's moving. She's everywhere.
She's everywhere. Yeah. And so she's about to do some great events, like Golf Beef with Big Percy and that team. She's PR for that. And celebrity basketball game coming up, and I'm going to be performing at these events. So that's going to be dope. And I have a new single coming out too. I'm really excited about the new single. It's very different than the one you just heard.
We definitely want to get that as well.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to let it be heard. Sneak peeked on the show, because it's let's just say it's a song where I'm basically calling out what you and I started talking about on the phone about pretty girls. And
right.
So it's a whole ode to my experience with these fake ass hoes out here, because I'm just not the one. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for the fake photos of sage wands and people talking about stay woke, and it's just, what I'm saying? I mean, cool, yeah, everybody get woke, but don't just be yourself. And there's a lot of people out here in the LA vibe that's trying so hard to stay up to date with what they think someone else is, you know what I mean? Like, I can't explain how many people and girls that be coming up to me being like, oh my God, you like crystals? I like crystals. And it's like they're trying to show off, and it's just kind of like, you can sense when it's fake. And when it's not fake, it doesn't feel fake. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so.
You don't know how much you tickle me. You don't know how much you tickle me.
Oh my gosh.
Because you definitely do not fit the LA mold. The stereotypical LA mold, which is beautiful and it's refreshing. You know what I mean? And I think that, something that you and I talked about, but I definitely want to say out loud here, is that I think you're needed in this landscape.
I,
Um, no, legit, you're needed. Young girls need to see the picture of something different, right?
I,
Like it's cool. We got all this other stuff,
yeah.
but they need to see that it's cool to be smart,
It's
right?
cool to be smart. It's cool to be yourself and to be pretty but have rough edges. It's cool to be pretty and have some rolls in your belly, whatever that looks like, as long as you feel good and you're healthy and you're moving. But there's the obsession with perfection on and looks and just all of it, even kind of like posing just right or like it's exhausting, and it means nothing. There's no substance to that, and people are kind of sick of it anyways. You can sense it in the world now that people
Hmm.
are craving better artists. They're even like on social media, people are blowing up. I'm watching a girl right now on social media who's blowing up for nothing, just because she's being weird and goofy and herself enough that she is just gaining followers, like, you know what I'm saying, like, and it's just like, yeah, because people, like the nice pretty package, what is it doing for anybody? There's just no, there's no soul there. Like, why are we here on earth if not to have some purpose?
Yeah, see, we're gonna get real deep in a second. We start messing with that, but I just love the fact that you're more than just a pretty face, and so I think especially it's funny. I joke that as I get older, somehow like I'm like, how am I getting more like? It's weird. Like I'm getting more conservative, and not in the Fox News type of way,
Yeah.
but
Right.
I just like I look at the stuff, and I'm gonna sound like the old guy right now, but the stuff that passes on TV, right? And I'm like, why can't kids just be kids? Like, why does it have to push the envelope even on Nickelodeon or, like I get it. There's a time and place for everything. And I just don't think that, at 7 years old, 8 years old, whatever, you got to know about everything. And
I agree.
so it's
I,
refreshing.
I
Go ahead.
heard a lot of people say that, and like, kind of like, I don't know what these generations be called, millennials, Gen, whoever, Gen Z, X, whatever. But from like, I guess you could say like late 20s up, I hear people say that more and more nowadays, where it's like, I'm becoming conservative. This world is making me conservative, because it's like, yeah, I think it's what you're saying. It's like a little overexposure of like, kind of, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, accept everything, don't judge anything. And it's like, don't judge, but you know what I'm saying?
You ain't got to accept everything.
Are you really not supposed to judge if you feel somebody next to you is just like, saying a bunch of shit to you just to be fake?
Right.
Like, it's not judgment, it's discernment. It's looking and
Right.
going, this don't have nothing tangible here. This ain't real,
Exactly. So let me ask you this. Um, Now that you've kind of, you've been seasoned a little bit and you've been around a little bit, what would you go back and tell, say, 18-year-old you or 19-year-old you if you had the opportunity?
Oh, I would, because I would say so many things. Well, what you were saying about me being a pretty girl, like, I would just like to insert here that that I was not a pretty girl growing up. I was like and I told you this earlier on the phone, like, man, I mean, like I was saying earlier, like, I'm growing in with a unibrow and a mushroom cut. I'm chubby girl, just looked funny. Like, I didn't grow into myself until later. So I would definitely tell my 18, 19-year-old self who, like, I was kind of getting attractive, but I was still stuck in my head, still stuck of
Uh-huh.
feeling throughout all those school years of not being accepted, that I was still looking for acceptance from others. And so I would have told that younger self earlier on, you got to stop giving a shit about what all these people think about you, because baby girl is not going to take you no closer to where you want to go, or what you
Right.
want, or to being able to help others, which is something that I always innately felt in my spirit. Even when I was young and looking for approval, I still knew I was here to help people.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And as we bring it into a close, I ask everyone this question. Every time I have a guest, I ask this question. Just because if for no other reason, I want to know, right? Which is this: God forbid, but if this were to be your last interview, the last time people see you, they hear your voice, what would you want to leave people with if this was the last time you got to say anything?
What would I want to leave people with if this were the last time I got to say anything? It would be, um, to love people so much that you can mind your own business. I know that sounds like such a weird thing to say, but it's like
No.
something like in my recent year or two that's really elevated me energetically and spiritually, is realizing that you have to stand in your personal power without being like kind of giving a vibe of mind your own business and do you, and you will
Right.
go far.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. No, I like that. I definitely like that. So if people wanted to find you on social media, where could they find you at?
They can find me at Divynah. So you got to check that spelling, Divinah. It's that everywhere. It's on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, and everything else, TikTok. So go find me, Divynah, and go find my newest single, Faded, and check out the one that's on the way in a few weeks, baby.
We definitely gonna have to do that. I am so this now just for the record, this is part one. We definitely gonna have you come back.
Dope.
We're gonna do a lot. We're gonna talk because we still got to get into because look, I'm gonna warn y'all in advance for y'all know how we do it on this show. I had to talk about her music, so I couldn't get into this stuff this time. But I'm gonna bring you back. We gonna talk about look, this crazy. It always happens when I'm in the middle of something. All right. We're gonna talk about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Woo! We're gonna piss a
Oh,
whole
hold on. Yeah, hold on. Is this thing still working? Did I get shut down?
They cut you down as soon as you said those words.
But no, but I think we need to talk about it, right? And I think that we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about being a woman in the industry.
Ooh, that's what you talking. You bringing up loaded topics, baby. Woo. And I'm good with it. But is everybody else ready to hear it?
It don't matter if they ready. That's how we do it on this
They
show.
gotta be ready now. Yeah.
You know, and we're gonna talk about personal responsibility. Do we have, because it just feels like, and goes with what you were just saying in terms of, oh, we have to accept everything, but I don't believe that. At some point, people have to have personal responsibility for, what it is that they do, and what it is they accept, right? So I'm gonna give a quick example, and I'm gonna keep it pushing because we get started on this, it's gonna go crazy. But I was talking about the Me Too movement the other day with a group of people, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a very important movement. I really do.
Yeah.
I support the Me Too movement. However, there's a double standard when it comes to men. Like if men are uncomfortable about something, I shouldn't say that. My bad.
No,
Okay.
I'm agreeing.
So, no, I know. I'm being stupid. I'm being, but and also to some degree, and again, no is no. And I don't think a man should ever do anything that a woman doesn't want. But at what point, if a woman does concede to something, at what point is personal responsibility, and I'm just asking, because like I said, I was talking with a group of men and they were asking, well, at what point, if she said yes, then comes back later and says she was uncomfortable. See, this, I could already feel it. I just got tight in my chest right now. You know what I mean? But I've had like literally guys sit around and go, well, how can she come back a year later and say she was uncomfortable, but she didn't tell me she was uncomfortable? How am I the villain? If so in other words, at what point does personal responsibility come into play? Because I know there's these things now, because this term never existed before, social cues. We were never taught what social cues are. Like, what does that mean? Right. So I just feel that we can talk about these things because
I'm sorry to cut you off, but man, I'm tired of seeing the way that men are kind of also like, I agree with both sides.
Thank you.
Women need to be men need to be held accountable for these kind of things, and for so long in society it wasn't discussed, so let's keep discussing it, but we can't discuss it on one end. It does need to be discussed on both. I have seen and heard way too many men who also have honestly experienced probably being some kind of sexually assaulted by a woman, or God knows what. I've heard it all. Child things with kids of either sex being molested by who knows what older person was, being inappropriate, so many things. And it's not just like a female thing, and it's being depicted that way. And it like every time a man does come out and say something about something weird that happened to him, that where was he uncomfortable, where maybe he was 15 and being, taken advantage of by some older lady. And at the time you're a guy and you're kind of being taught that that's a good thing because you're in a male body, but you're also like 15, you don't know what the heck is going on. You don't know to say no. You don't know what's right or wrong. You're embarrassed, whatever. It's not cool. It's not cool. And it does mental damage to those, to young boys or whoever, just like women. And it absolutely needs to both be acknowledged, because I've just heard so many stories about women, like teachers, like, you know what I'm saying? Like women in their 30s and 40s trying to have sex with like 15-year-old boys and 14-year-old boys. Come on. Yeah. We're not going to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not right.
Exactly. So we're going to have this conversation. We're going to have a few more women on the panel. We're going to have some other folks, and we're going to do it real big. Because just, it's the Revolution Radio Show, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we do. We have uncomfortable conversations. You feel me?
I live for that. Yeah.
So before we get out of here, do you have any shout outs or anybody you want to, just anything you want to say before, we say aloha?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the Revolution Radio Show, of course. Thank you for having me on here. This is a delight and a good vibe to talk about what's real. I also want to give a shout out to my manager, Princess Perceptive by Princess Vashon. Go find her on IG, guys. She's popping, making great events. She's been doing a lot and helping me build a lot this past year, and it's getting places and it's paying off, and I'm really grateful. And as well as Dave and Backstage Access Magazine. Shout out to them. Great media. And shout out to all my friends, fans, and everybody that is supporting me and sending me love. And shout out to God.
Absolutely. So with that being said, make sure you check her out at Divynah on all social media platforms. We're going to put that up. Obviously, you're going to see it right here. And we're going to go ahead and play her song again, one more again, while we get out of here. But as always, you know what I'm saying? It's your boy J Love, a.k.a. Uncle Jiggy. Right here on the Revolution Radio Show, aka the Revolution Podcast, reminding you as always, reach for your best, reach for success, but most of all, reach for God, because God is love and love is everything, man. We're gonna see you on the next go round, God willing.
Anybody ready for a revolution? Anybody ready for a revolution? Anybody ready for a revolution? Anybody ready for a revolution?
So is that it?
You are now tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show.